In the last 10 years, Snack has provided fighter training stack supplements to more than 20 world champions, including Mikey Garcia, Demetrius Andrade, and Caleb Plant. If you're ready to take your fight game to the next level, the Snack Fighter Training Stack is for you.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas here in Las Vegas, being joined with Shawn Porter and Shawn. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. This Saturday night, it's being labeled as a fight that's 50-50. Do you see it as that way, as a 50-50 fight?
I do see it as a 50-50 fight. I'm glad you said that because that never really came to mind. I haven't really heard anyone else say it's a 50-50 fight, but I do. I think both guys have literally everything that it takes to come out victorious, you know, and it's just, to me, it's a matter of who lays out the game plan the best, and I think it's going to be more on Keith Thurman's end in terms of making adjustments and making Manny, you know, find him and things like that. I think it's great, man. The closer we get to this fight, I'm like, wow, like I'm genuinely excited for this fight, you know? Yeah.
You have a unique perspective on this fight. You fought Keith Thurman, but you know Manny so well because you were a sparring partner of his for such a long time.
Yeah.
So you know the ins and outs of both these guys.
Yeah.
To you, what's the thing that really sticks out to you about this fight?
Well, for Manny, his rhythm, his timing, the way he uses those angles from that southpaw stance. I think that has been for such a long time his biggest weapon, and I think it could very well be his biggest weapon today, especially given the fact that he is 40 going on 41. To me, it's a matter of him executing really, really fast from that southpaw stance and now allowing Keith Thurman to adjust and catch his rhythm. And then on the other hand, you got Keith Thurman who can really lure you in and not really catch you falling asleep, but he traps you. And it's like, you know, he does these little moves, these really little subtle moves just to take away enough distance, and then he's right there for the right shots, you know. So I think that you know, from Keith Thurman's side, I think it's a matter of him dictating the range and the distance, and then adding that power into it.
With that time you spent with Manny and what you see now, you know, if you spent a lot of time with Manny, you could tell he is a little slower, but he's still tremendously fast. Yeah. But how was that being in with Manny when he was at his peak, his prime, like that speed and that pop?
You know, I do. I think that I think it's just a little different now. I think that now it's really subtle, but he just, you know, imagine him taking 2 steps really, really fast. Now he can't take those 2 steps really fast, which is what everyone's expecting him. You know, it's not the same Manny, but he's taking 1.5 steps or 1 3/4 steps now. You know, so for most guys, just recently Adrian Browner, 1.5 to 1 3/4 steps worked. You know, so being just that much slower now is beneficial for Keith Thurman. But I think Manny still has a lot of power. I think he still has a lot of speed. And for whatever reason, he's still hungry.
How was that power, that speed back then?
It really was amazing back then. You know, I've been in a lot of I had about 280 amateur fights. And near the end of my amateur career, a lot of my fights were really close. They were really competitive. And it was really, really fast. We did 4 2-minute rounds. So it was really, really fast. Being in the ring with Manny was like that, but it was like that for the course of 8 3-minute rounds. You know what I mean? It was really, really fast. It was tit for tat. It was back and forth. And I don't know if he could do that with me now in sparring. But I do know that when it comes to a fight, I think that he gets up enough and he can do everything that he used to do against me in sparring.
I know with other past opponents from Manny's past, they try to describe like his speed and power, and it's like you think he's one place, and then a punch comes and hits you, and you're like in shock, like, wait, how did I get hit with this? And the moment you register it, you're getting hit with 2 other punches.
The thing about that is there was a facade created about Manny back then, and they called him Pac-Man. And, you know, he really was fast. But it's like once you see it, he's dominant. Anyone getting in the ring after that is saying, oh, well, he's going to do that based on what they saw. And it's like almost like they're tricking themselves into thinking something's going on that really isn't. Not to say that it wasn't, but when you have that facade created in your mind, it slows you down. It makes you. It takes away. You take away your own abilities without even realizing it. And then now here you go. Manny has another dominant performance. I think that facade is gone now, just based on his age. I think everyone has said enough times that Manny's not the same old Manny, so that facade is gone now. Now you have guys who are going to be confident getting in the ring with Manny. Keith Thurman, I mean, this is probably the most confidence I've ever seen him have, and and I think a big reason for that is because Manny does not have the facade that he once had.
Have you had a chance to speak to Keith about this fight and get like his real thoughts and all that?
A little bit. He's excited, man. Keith believes in his power, and I'm not mad at him. He called himself one time for a reason, and he's probably gonna hold on to that until he's gone in a way from this earth. But he's called himself one time because he believes in his power. And I think that is why he's so confident. I think he feels that Manny is too small for him. I think he feels that Manny's not as fast or as quick as people thinks he is. The facade, and when you don't have that facade up, then you're able to go in there and attack the guy like you would Shawn Porter, like you would Danny Garcia, or like you did Josecito Lopez when he almost knocked out Josecito in the third round or something like that, So I think that this fight is gonna be like that for like the first 2-3 rounds. It's gonna be a lot like you saw him going at Josecito.
So you think he's saying he's gonna come at him, and a lot of people don't believe him.
I know, I do believe him. I do believe him. I could see Keith kind of putting up that, putting up smoke and mirrors and saying one thing, but he's gonna come in the ring and doing something else. But as much as I know Keith depends and relies and believes in this power, I think he's gonna come right out at him.
If they do come at each other in the exchange, who does that benefit?
Yeah. Well, you got Manny's superior speed. It is fast. And then the thing about Keith is he has a lot of power, but he generates his power from throwing the punches kind of like, from a wider wider technique, which, it's heavy, but it takes some time to get there, So I think in an exchange, if Manny's fast and he gets in and out, he's safe in those exchanges. But Keith can throw, and he throws heavy. He throws hard. And the other thing about it is he's got Dan Birmingham in his corner. Those guys know how to make adjustments. So when we used to see Keith going here, I think they're probably saying, he's fast. You got to get off when you're on the inside. Now that punch shortens up, make connect, game over.
That's true.
You don't know, man. There's so many. I love it because there's so many variables.
You've felt Keith's power, and when you guys fought, he landed a lot of punches, but you took him well.
Yeah.
You've also felt Manny's power.
Yeah.
How do both their powers, the power and their punch compare?
If I have to say anything, I would say they're just about even. If I have to give one to one, I would say Keith's probably stronger and more powerful with his punches. I think that when you are being hit in so many different directions the way Manny does it, it's almost like, the punch that you see doesn't hurt as much as the punch that you don't see, So I'm going up against that. I'm going up against Manny, hitting me punches where, he was getting around me and doing the old school Manny, and that stung, And then, on the other side, you got Keith where, his balls to the walls, and it's, the adrenaline is so high, and it's boom, you got hit, and then it's like, just keep going, you know what I mean? So I think both those guys are really, really strong.
If you had to pick a winner, you have to lean towards someone. Are you still gonna lean towards Keith because of youth?
No, I'm leaning towards Manny because of experience. Yeah. I'm leaning towards Manny because
normally youth will trump the experience, but this time.
Yeah, no, not this time. I think that Manny in his corner, Freddie, the whole nine. I think they have a rhythm. They have a flow, and I think that it flows and has flowed for a very long time outside of outside of Floyd Mayweather, outside of the upset with Marquez. He had already beat Marquez 4 times. That was gonna be win number 7. That punch was bound to happen eventually. You
fight a guy enough, they're gonna get caught with these because he gets. That's like when you spar with someone, you get so used to their style.
You get time to make adjustments.
You know the things there.
Yeah, so that's to me is the biggest thing in this fight is does Keith have what it takes to make those adjustments like this? And with Manny, you just have to.
Which makes me think if Manny wins, and I know they're rumoring your fight coming up, if you were to win that fight, you're so familiar with Manny. That's gonna be a crazy fight.
I think that's a fight that Manny takes. I think that I think Manny's after just a little bit more in this sport, and I think that him beating Keith Thurman would be very monumental for him and his career, his family, his team, the whole nine. And if he says I'm gonna keep going, I think, you know, when I beat Errol Spence, I think he may be looking at this like, okay, this is the pinnacle. You know, I have to have that, you know, and I have to go after Shawn Porter, and this is gonna be it, you know. And I would be feeling the same way. I would be feeling like, you know, you're a living legend. I've been in the ring with you as as a sparring partner. This is tradition. Let's do what we're supposed to do. You know,
It's like full circle.
Yeah,
Like the student becomes the master.
yeah, and not to say that in any way at all, I'm a master to Manny, you know, beating him. But I do think that, you know, a lot like my fight with Errol Spence, I think that, you know, I have just the right attributes, the right things that it takes to beat Manny, you know. And then, you know, here's my disclaimer. I'm not saying that this is 100% going to be Manny's fight. You know, he's got an early storm to weather. And then he's got Keith Thurman, who has, you know, immeasurable will, you know. And when you can't, when you just got so much to take away from somebody, you know, that makes that person dangerous until the finish, you know. So I could very well see Keith Thurman winning this fight and him and I having the rematch that we should have had 2 years ago.
Well, this is why you have a job at Fox, because you're so good at breaking down the fights. Here with Shawn Porter in Las Vegas, this is Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV.